Good evening and thank you for joining us. The alleged victim in the extortion trial involving former Mayor Keith Hobbs says he doesn't believe accused Mary Voss wanted to extort him and that she was, quote, put under the spell of the Hobbses.
This as Voss's lawyer George Joseph continued to poke holes in the alleged victim's testimony. Ryan Benazzo has more from day 6 of the trial.
If the Crown goes on to win this case, the defense is doing everything in its power to ensure it's not because of the testimony of the alleged victim. On Monday morning, George Joseph, the lawyer for accused Mary Voss, continued to cast doubt on many of the things that the victim has said on the stand, as well as question the reliability of the victim's overall memories from that time period in the fall of 2016, when the victim admits he was drinking heavily, as well as taking prescribed and over-the-counter medication. Joseph referred to a phone call between Mary Voss and someone in Ghana. On Thursday, the alleged victim stated that on that call, Voss flipped back and forth between speaking English and her native language of Twi. He says he heard her say 3 times in English, quote, "I'll get more money out of him." The victim says he assumed that comment was in reference to him, to which Joseph replied, quote, "It seems odd that if she was talking about you, that she'd do that in English." Joseph also called into question the alleged victim's testimony that prior to the recording of the incriminating videos at the heart of this case, Mary Voss punched him twice in the face, hard enough to knock him to the ground. Joseph notes that when the victim took pictures of his injuries he sustained that night, there were no pictures taken of the victim's face. Finally, as for a supposed fake will that the alleged victim claimed he was coerced into signing, Joseph again pointed to the victim's unreliable memory of that time, saying it was in fact the alleged victim's idea of atonement for the horrible behavior displayed in those incriminating videos. The victim has repeatedly spoken favorably of Voss's character during this trial. The next Crown witness, Helly Kajanan, also took the stand on Monday. She says she was present when the agreement to buy a house for Mary Voss was signed by the alleged victim and the 3 accused. She gave a detailed description of the events, even where everyone was sitting. But during cross-examination, Brian Greenspan noted Kajanan couldn't recall any of that when she was interviewed by police in 2017. She told police, quote, "Everything's a friggin' blur," and that she was drunk at the time of the event. Ryan Benazzo, TVT News.
The large fire on Simpson Street last week that destroyed 2 buildings and damaged a third has now been confirmed as being caused by arson. A spokesperson for the Ontario Fire Marshal's office says because it's a criminal investigation, the case has been passed off to Thunder Bay Police. The fire broke out last Tuesday night and destroyed the Hells Angels clubhouse, Rizzo's cabinets, and part of the former European bakery. It also caused water damage to the underground gym. Provincial and city fire investigators were on scene Thursday and Friday and found signs of foul play. The arson investigation is being led by the Thunder Bay Police Major Crimes Unit. Anyone with information is being asked to contact Thunder Bay Police.
As communities across the nation battle the rising opioid crisis, a clinic here in Thunder Bay is being touted for its success on helping people with addictions. Corey Nordstrom has more.
Amanda Rusnick is living proof that the Rapid Access Addiction Medicine Clinic works. A drug addict for 17 years, the RAM Clinic and its blend of person-centered care has helped her get clean, and she has nothing but positives to say about the program.
Just tell them if they actually want to get anywhere and nothing else is working, go to RAM because the doctors are good, the nurses are good, the counselors are good. They'll help you with anything that you actually need help with.
Rusnick, along with others, spoke at an event about National Addiction Awareness Week. RAM clinics have 2 locations at Norwest Community Health Center and the Balmoral Center run by St. Joseph's Care Group. Nancy Black from St. Joe's says it's the differences in RAM clinics that make them so successful.
So many of the programs actually have criteria for what you need to, where you need to be in order to get in to access services. This is low barrier. No preconceived notions or goals or what people need to do before they walk in the door. You come as you are, and we'll work with you wherever you're at.
Thunder Bay's drug strategy coordinator, Cynthia Olson, says there needs to be less of a stigma around seeking help to curb the number of opioid-related deaths.
If we continue to not break down the barriers, then people aren't going to access the services. It's scary to walk across the threshold of a treatment organization. And so the more that we have these community conversations, the more that maybe individuals will feel inclined that that's a safe place that they can go access.
With over 6,000 visits since its inception in 2018, Rusnick wishes every clinic had the same personal approach.
If there was any other programs that helped addicts as much as RAM does, or the way that RAM does, this place would be way better than what it is. We wouldn't have all these deaths. We wouldn't have all these overdoses.
Corey Nordstrom, TVT News.
A note to Thunder Bay and area residents who are traveling along the North Shore this evening. The OPP reports they have closed Highway 17 between Nipigon and Scryborough due to the latest snowstorm to hit that area. Several vehicles were reportedly stuck on the highway late this afternoon due to the weather conditions, and it is unclear when that stretch of road will reopen again. Again, that's Highway 17 between Nipigon and Scryborough, closed due to poor driving conditions.
Thunder Bay's new strategic plan headlines tonight's busy council agenda. Councillors will also hear budget presentations from Police Chief Sylvie Hoth, a deputation from the Thunder Bay and Area Food Strategy, and will receive additional information regarding 2 recent Integrity Commissioner reports. Council is being asked to adopt the city's new strategic plan, which is meant to guide decisions and actions of council and administration over the next 4 years and beyond. The plan was developed with the help from councillors, the city's executive management team, input from boards and committees, and citizen feedback through surveys and open houses such as this one held back in June. The plan is titled One City Altogether. The full document can be viewed on the city's website or in person at City Hall and branches of the Thunder Bay Public Library.
The Thunder Bay Police Association has decided it will no longer be attending meetings of the Police Services Board. The association's new president, Clark McKeever, says a public forum is not the best way to talk about the issues and topics that their members face on a daily basis. The lack of a police union rep was noted at several recent police board meetings. Board Chair Selena Reitberger says they've reached out to the association to invite them to come back, but they were told they would prefer to meet elsewhere. McKeever says their new executive looked at the value of going to those meetings and decided instead to arrange one-on-one sit-downs and police car ride-alongs with board members. And he hopes to arrange an informal get-together of the full membership of the 2 groups soon. Reitberger says she'd be happy to accept such an invitation in order to talk frankly and openly about moving forward.
Anyone driving past the Balmoral Police Station at night will notice something different. A tree filled with red lights and a blue star on top. And while the spectacle is pleasing to the eye, it hits even closer to the heart. Last night, the Tree of Hope was lit with 1,200 glowing red lights. It's a symbol of the 1,200 confirmed cases of missing or murdered Indigenous women and girls in Canada. The blue star that sits atop the tree is meant to show the commitment Thunder Bay Police have made to solving these incidents. The initiative started with an idea by Thunder Bay Police Constable Charlene Baudot. Her plan was to fundraise $48,000 coupled with $2,000 from Crime Stoppers, totaling $50,000 towards a tip to solve at least one of these crimes. Bordeaux hopes that the large reward will help convince someone to come forward and give one family some closure.
You have to have closure. You have to have some sort of closure, and somebody out there has seen something out of the 4,000 to 5,000 cases that are still open in this country. Somebody has seen something, and if all it takes is $50,000 for them to come forward, I just want my accused.
When you realize that they don't know where their loved one is, there is no closure ever for them, and how do you begin to move beyond that, and where do you begin to look at healing and resolution and supporting them as a family member?
With a total of $6,000 raised at the time, McGuire Surrett announced that Onwa would match that amount as the issue is close to their hearts. Each time the cause raises $12,000, another tree will be covered with lights and lit up until they reach their goal. Those interested in donating can visit the Tree of Hope Project website for more information.
Officials with Lakehead University are looking for nearly $2 million in donations from the public to help them complete their new athletics facility. Construction began in late August on the expansion to the C.J. Sanders Fieldhouse, and the foundations are now in place. The new athletic center is being called the Wolf Den and will bring more space for workouts and sporting activities. LU students voted several years ago to have their fees raised in order to pay for the project. Those fees will bring in $11 million, but the total price tag is now estimated to sit at $12.8 million. Athletics Director Tom Warden says the project will bring value to the community, so they're hoping the public will see it as a worthy cause and donate the needed $1.8 million.
No, I mean, as you know, projects change along the way. You never want to commit to a budget until you actually know what's going to happen. So when things are all said and done, we had a delta of approximately $1.8 million, and we felt that the best way to approach that was through this campaign.
Donations can be made online on the LU website or by contacting the school's philanthropy office. The Wolf Den is expected to be completed by the end of 2020.
There were more assurances today that students at Ontario Public Schools will not be impacted when teachers begin a Work to Rule campaign tomorrow. This comes as a new poll suggests there's very little public support for education reforms instituted by the Ford government. Colin DeMello reports.
From public high schools to public elementary schools, thousands of educators will begin a Work to Rule campaign tomorrow as contract negotiations hit a roadblock.
Good morning, Russell.
Unions say the impact will only be on schools and the Ministry of Education, not students or parents. School boards are expecting much of the same.
There really should be very little impact in schools. We've seen the same information you have about what the Work to Rule will mean. It is a lot of administrative right now. It is a lot of about not going to staff meetings, those types of things. So parents and students should not see an impact in their classrooms.
Unions say extracurricular activities as well as in-class learning will not be affected by the Work to Rule. Those representing school boards say students should alert principals if they see a decline.
If they have concerns about what's happening in their own schools, so please talk to their school principals about it. And if there's something that's happening that is of concern to them, that's the area to have that conversation and to find a fix.
Today, a new poll also suggests the Ford government may not have public support when it comes to changes to the education sector. 61% of respondents believe it is more important to invest in education than to pay down Ontario's deficit or debt. And 66% say they are either opposed or somewhat opposed to the government's plans to increase class sizes.
The most striking finding right across the board was that it doesn't really matter whether your child is in the public school system or whether they're not in the public school system. There's a common sense of purpose out there when it comes to public education and the commitment to public education.
It seems the teachers' unions might just have more support than the Ford government as the two sides fight over a new contract. High school teachers across the province will begin the day tomorrow with information pickets. They say they'll be distributing pamphlets to parents and the public, letting them know about the impact of the Ford government's policies in education on the classrooms itself. There's a promise, though, from unions that there will be no disruption to parents dropping off students in the morning. At Queen's Park, Colin DeMello, CTV News.
4 people are facing charges following a weekend theft from the West Arthur Street LCBO. It happened Saturday afternoon when 4 people entered the store, threatened staff, and began stealing several bottles of liquor. The 4 fled when an off-duty Thunder Bay police officer intervened. 4 suspects were then apprehended nearby by on-duty officers. 2 men and 2 women are facing theft and other charges.
The Kiwanis Club of Westfort is reminding the public of the holiday season as they've now set up their annual Christmas tree market on the CLE grounds. Volunteers from the Thunder Bay Ski Patrol and the Thunder Bay Police Youth Corps helped Kiwanis Club members unload around 700 trees this weekend. With 7 types of evergreens to choose from, people can be sure they'll get the perfect holiday centerpiece. The tree sales represent a third of the annual fundraising for the Kiwanis Club, which supports youth organizations like the Youth Police Corps and many others.
It's helping local kids with mental health problems, nutrition, kids with nutrition problems. A lot of our budget goes to Our Kids Count, which is a major factor in the city.
This is important to us and the organization because the Kiwanis Club, we scratch their back, they scratch our back. They help us out. Being out here today, lifting all these heavy Christmas trees.
The Kiwanis Club has been selling trees in the city for over 40 years. The Christmas tree lot is open noon to 8 weekdays and 10 to 8 on weekends.
Victoriaville Centre kicked off their third annual Fill the Pit food drive today. The week-long food collection will be supporting Shelter House, Grace Place Ministry, and Our Kids Count. From 9 until 4 daily, residents can bring in their canned goods or non-perishable food items to the pit next to the Victoriaville Food Court. For every item donated, people will receive a ballot for their chance to win a $500 Visa gift card. Mall manager Brian Phillips says he's always impressed with Thunder Bay's generosity during the holiday season.
Over the last few years, this food drive has benefited the organizations well. We've had anywhere from 12,000 to 15,000 food items donated, and that's from the South Core area and all of Thunder Bay's community. During these events, Thunder Bay really opens up its heart and gives back to the community and helps us out.
The winner of the draw will be chosen Friday during the annual Holiday Festival Night in the Victoriaville Village Green area.
An organization that has been helping cystic fibrosis sufferers in the Thunder Bay district has hit a major milestone. This weekend, staff and volunteers from the local CF chapter celebrated 50 years searching for a cure for the disease. The get-together had attendees reminiscing about the many fundraisers over the past 50 years, like the CF Telethon, the Princess Ball, and the walks to raise awareness. Chapter President Barbara Thompson says knowing the long way they've come towards quality and duration of life for those with CF helps give them hope.
And with that hope, you are able to fundraise with such commitment because you want a control or a cure. Maybe it won't be a cure because it is a genetic disease.
If we thought it was not possible, we wouldn't ask, but it is possible, and that possibility is what gets you up in the morning and gets you going and gets you out to the bingos and gets you out selling tickets and gets you out asking people to please help us to fight cystic fibrosis.
Those on hand were given another reason to celebrate as Superior Shores Gaming presented the organization with a check for more than $12,000.
Well, Fiona